Donald Trump continues his military campaign to blow up speedboats in the Caribbean Sea and the Pacific Ocean near South America. He contends that the boats are smuggling drugs into the United States, but he has not revealed his evidence yet. His body count is up to around 60 by now. I have argued in an earlier podcast editorial that the attacks are unexcused, purposeful homicides and hence constitute murders, regardless of whether the victims were actually drug smugglers. Today, let us explore the little reported fact that 3 people have survived these attacks. 2 men survived an attack in the Caribbean Sea after the United States military blew the boat up. A video feed showed 2 men in the water. Navy and Coast Guard helicopters were dispatched to the scene and rescued the men. Curiously, the military did not take the men into custody for prosecution. Instead, our forces returned them to their respective countries, Colombia and Ecuador, for, quote, detention and prosecution, close quote. The Colombian was seriously wounded in the attack and remains hospitalized in Colombia. As to the other survivor, the authorities in Ecuador found no evidence that he had committed any crime in Ecuador, so they let him go. It turns out that the victims on the boats have names. In Ecuador, the survivor, Mr. Andre Fernando Tufino Chila, walked out the front door a free man. Another fellow survived an attack in the Pacific. All we know about him is that, according to Secretary of Defense Hegseth, quote, Mexican search and rescue authorities had accepted the case and assumed responsibility for coordinating the rescue. So, 3 survivors, and we are holding none of them in custody for prosecution by the United States government. Why not? If Trump's people did not have enough information on these men to prosecute them in a United States courtroom, how did they have enough on them to blow them up in the first place? The Trump administration has made a big show that these boats carried enemies with whom we are at war. The military could blow them up supposedly because they were narco-terrorists invading our homeland. If that were so, then why didn't they imprison these 3 survivors as prisoners of war? The answer must be that the last thing the administration desires is to have these 3 men in custody. As soon as they land anywhere in custody, lawyers could swoop in with lawsuits and habeas corpus petitions. Civil rights lawyers must be straining at the leash to get at these boat attacks. If you can prosecute these men, show us your evidence. The first boat blown up had 11 people on it, all dead now. How do we know the boat was not smuggling human beings instead of drugs? What is the evidence that everyone on the boat was a criminal? What was the evidence against the Ecuadorian Mr. Chila? Did we share evidence with the Ecuadorian authorities? Was there any evidence at all? What if the only evidence the administration has is they spotted a really fast boat near a foreign shore? Is that enough to justify blowing it up? Consider the military pilot or drone operator ordered to press the button to launch the missile. He or she must think the order is lawful. No doubt a legal memorandum somewhere says the order to blow up the boat is lawful. Following the 9/11 attacks on the World Trade Center, government lawyers issued a similar memorandum. They declared waterboarding and other forms of torture legal. I refer you to a documentary film titled Taxi to the Dark Side by Alex Gibney. This film investigates the death of an innocent Afghan taxi driver named Dilawar, who was tortured to death by American soldiers at Bagram Air Force Base. The Department of Justice in 2004 rescinded that legal memorandum purporting to justify torture. In the present day, one of Donald Trump's first actions in office was to get rid of the lawyers in the military and inspector general offices. The experienced judge advocates and other attorneys who respect the rule of law were replaced by legal hacks that we may call mouthpieces. A mouthpiece wrote the torture memorandum that was later disavowed by our government. A mouthpiece undoubtedly wrote the as yet unreleased memorandum that gives military personnel the legal cover to commit murder in the Caribbean. Trump's fake lawyers must have issued an opinion not only that the president has the legal authority to decide what constitutes an attack upon the U.S., but also that no one else may countermand that decision. Having made such a decision, the president may, under this theory, order the summary execution of any or all of the supposed attackers. This is so regardless of the evidence or lack of evidence in the case. Afterward, of course, dead men tell no tales. Taking a life merely because one decides to is the essence of kingly power. In early English history, King Henry II got involved in a conflict with Thomas Becket, the Archbishop of Canterbury. At one point, King Henry asked aloud, "Will no one rid me of this meddlesome priest?" Sure enough, 4 goons rode off and murdered Becket at the altar of Canterbury Cathedral. Henry was king, and he had the power to order the murder of even an archbishop. No Kings is more than a mere slogan for protesters to use across our nation in street demonstrations. It distills our nation's political philosophy. Ever since Thomas Jefferson castigated King George III in the Declaration of Independence, we in the United States have held that we shall neither have kings nor tolerate kingly power. There is no clearer proof of Donald Trump's assertion of kingly power than the high-tech lynching of suspected smugglers in international waters close by South America.